What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's going on with the news that just came out as we have some new developments and why tomorrow is going to be a very, very important day for the markets because it's going to be the first day that the bonds market opens ever since the new news involving Israel came out. So I'm going to break down all that information for tomorrow, talk about what's going on with earnings, the economic calendar so far, and the news affecting Tesla, and all these other important things. Before I do anything like this, though, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Mumu link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Mumu, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Now, the offer ends in just 6 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So Tesla was down 0.33% for the day, and we were actually holding up quite decently near like the middle of the day before something big happened. So in the beginning, let me just break down Tesla for now. This is what Tesla looked like. As you can see, Tesla started off a little weak because we had some bearish news involving the Chinese sales. Tesla ended up selling off thanks to that. Then as time went on, Tesla started recovering. And during this period, we had some big news involving Israel that came out. So before this news came out, right, I was telling you that Tesla was looking very sideways. It most likely would have remained sideways alongside the market had no new news come out. But then all of a sudden, some big news came out involving Israel, and we saw Tesla pump alongside the market, and the whole market started pumping a bit. And that's part of why we got a pretty decent close for most stocks out there. So I want to break down what that news was and what's going to happen for tomorrow and all these things. But first, I want to talk about something else. So just as a reminder, we have a pretty crazy week ahead of us, okay? Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday. It's going to be the first day the bonds market opens. We see a big move from yields. That's going to move stocks. So that's going to be the significant thing for tomorrow. For Wednesday, there's not much coming out, but then for Thursday, we have some more earnings and CPI coming out. Actually, I think for Wednesday, we have PPI coming out. Don't forget about that. Thursday is going to be CPI day alongside these earnings. Then Friday is going to be the big banks day. We have JP Morgan, all these other big banks, Wells Fargo, Citi, and the list goes on. So pretty crazy week. We'll see how this continues. And then I just wanted to remind you all the big news that came out was Israel launched an airstrike on Gaza. So when this came out, right, the stock market is not siding with one side over another. The stock market is looking at this like, okay, what's going to be the economic effect of this? You have to think about how, this is going to likely lead to crude oil going up again. We're going to see the US probably get involved to some extent by supplying weapons and supplies and stuff. And this may incentivize the government to print more money, right? So when things like this happen, right, the stock market knows what's likely going to happen. And one of the things I mentioned is that when wars get more confirmation of their legitimacy, we know this war is legit now, right? We're seeing the attacks happening. The stock market knows that for the medium to long term, this tends to be bullish for the markets. So that's part of why the market's already making these like predetermined moves. So with all of that happening, right? And with the US government possibly going to end up printing more money because of this, the dollar started dropping. The dollar has a bearish signal developing, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. And this is causing the stock market to start pushing a bit. So I'm going to break down whether or not this is going to continue for tomorrow. As a reminder, for tomorrow, we have Bostic giving a speech when we open. Then we have wholesale inventories coming out 30 minutes after the market opens at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Then we have the consumer inflationary expectations at 11 o'clock a.m. So watch this tomorrow at 10 and 11 o'clock a.m. Then we have some Fed speakers after about 1:30 p.m. But expect some volatility during the first, I would say, 30 minutes of the day to about an hour and a half. As far as Tesla goes, there's this news that came out that Tesla announced a massive partnership with Hilton, but this is not really new news. It's just making a lot of headlines. I actually talked about this like last month already, but this is very, very good news for Tesla. It already pumped off of this. But the bad news that caused Tesla to drop today is the fact that their EV sales in China have dropped 11%, unfortunately, as we're seeing some demand issues over there. Now, when it comes to other things going on for Tesla, I just wanted to mention that Tesla still has a lot of hold ratings from Truist Securities. Price ratio is holding up because Tesla is doing quite well relative to the market. It's not doing too bad in my opinion. I would say that the daily seasonality is telling us that Tuesdays tend to be better days. We're green about 51% of the time. And the shorting on Tesla remains a little bit harder than usual as we're seeing more shorts continuing to hold their positions. We recently saw about 40.47 million Tesla shares being shorted. And the current Volume was about 101 million. That's a little bit below average, so nothing too horrible. But now let's break down these charts. What's going on with Tesla in the market? Well, this is going to be very, very interesting because tomorrow, when the yields make their big moves, it's going to affect how Tesla moves. But there's something I want to call out that's super important for Tesla and the whole market. So the 10-year Treasury yield is looking a bit more bearish from a technical standpoint. We have a bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, and we have a bunch of gaps down here. We have this gap down here. We have this one down here. This one down here. There's another one down here. If this thing starts sinking, if the yield starts dropping, this could help the market pump a little bit. And on top of that, like I was talking about, the market knows the US government may be printing more money. The dollar index has a head and shoulders forming. So if the dollar starts sinking towards 105, this could be a signal that the market may start to break out soon. I am leaning a bit more bullish because of this, but I'm always open minded to anything just to be safe. Anyways, what does this mean for Tesla and etc.? Well, Tesla has been stuck in this range between this resistance at 262.5 to 263 and support around this 250 to 252 area. Now it's been going back and forth for almost 4 days now. To be bullish, you want to see Tesla break and hold above 263. If it achieves that, 265 is coming, and if it breaks that, it could get very close to 270. If Tesla ends up sinking down, watch 254 as support. If that fails us, watch this 252 to 250 range. If it breaks below 250, that's going to be a bearish signal for Tesla, and Tesla's going to start sinking towards the 240s. Now, what's looking more likely is, honestly, guys, I'm very open-minded to anything because you never know what the yields could do, but I'm leaning a bit more bullish because of the fact that we have some bearish developments on the dollar and the 10-year Treasury yield. And because Tesla got bought up quite nicely today, as we saw buyers stepping in. So there's a good chance Tesla's going to test 262.5 to 263 and possibly break it for a breakout. The 4-hour time frame has this nice like accumulation structure that could lead to more upside. Now, at the same time, even though that is a possibility, there's a possible head and shoulders also on Tesla. So always be open-minded to anything, but just know that from a technical standpoint, for like the more short term, the odds do favor upside a bit more for Tesla and the markets and different equities. We will see if this continues. Now, as far as SPY goes, it's very simple. This is looking a bit more bullish. If we break 433, we're going to be watching for a test of 436.5. If we break below 430, watch this thing test 428. If that breaks, it's going to come all the way down below 424. What is looking more likely? As of right now, it's looking like it's going to try to test 433. If it breaks it, I think 436 could be on the table, but we have to watch and see what the yields do and what happens with the market first. What else is bullish for Tesla in the market would be the fact that Apple is looking a bit more bullish, continuing to break out. We have this resistance at 179.68. If that breaks, I can see this thing going to the 180s. If it breaks below 177.5, it could start sinking towards 175. I'm leaning a bit more bullish on Apple, however, looking at the yields I just mentioned. So I could see this thing testing 179.68, maybe even 180 if we continue going. If you want to turn bearish, you want to see it break below the 200, but so far it's not really doing that. It's looking a bit more bullish from a technical standpoint. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with the yields, but that's what it's looking like so far. Now we have a bearish divergence on the QQQ, which tells me there might be like maybe a gap down, a small little drop coming. It could retest like 365, but on the 4-hour time frame, this is looking like it has a cup and handle like structure, maybe not a perfect cup and handle. It has more of an accumulation structure right here. So the full move would be taking this thing up to like 370. So it looks like it may be making its way up to 370. Maybe it drops a little bit in the morning and starts pushing for 370. That looks very probable based off the charts. If you're bullish, you want to see it break 368. If it breaks and holds that, 370 is coming. If it breaks below 365, it's going to come all the way down towards 363, then 361.7. My gut tells me it may cool off a little bit and start pushing up higher just based off the current dollar index and etc. But just to be safe, you want to be watching to see if we get the confirmation. For Nvda, this is looking a bit more bullish. It's making higher highs and higher lows so far for the overall trend. We also have a nice inverse head and shoulders forming on it, so I could see it trying to get up to 460 very soon, to 461. In order for that to happen, for it to get to at least 460, we want to see it break 457.8, this high from Friday. If it breaks the high at 457, I could see 460 plus on Nvidia. If it ends up breaking below 447, that's going to be a bearish signal. We could see it come right back down towards 442. I am leaning a bit more bullish looking at the current trend, so watch that very carefully. For Microsoft, we're looking a bit more bullish. We have a nice accumulation structure right here. You can see it's curling very, very nicely. It wants to make its way up towards this imbalance. very close to this 330 plus area towards like 336 or so. But before we talk about that, we want to see it hold 330. If it holds 330, I could see it getting very close to 335. If it comes below 328, it could be making its way back down to 324. So watch it very carefully to see if we can get a breakout or not. But I am leaning a bit more bullish. For AMD, if it breaks this high right here at this 108 area, this inverse head and shoulders could launch it towards 109. If it fails and breaks below, 105, I could see it come down to 103. I'm leaning a bit more bullish looking at this accumulation, so it's looking a bit in favor for the bulls, but just to be safe, we'll wait and see. For the VIX, I just want to call out that the VIX got a big rejection today. Basically, it made an attempt to break out, but it failed, which is favoring the bulls a little bit more for the stock market for like, Tesla and etc. For SPX, if you're interested in looking at SPX, same thing as SPY, looks a bit more bullish, but just to be safe, let's see if we could break this 43.53 area. If it gets above that, we could see it push even higher towards this gap fill area. So watch that very carefully. Can we break the 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame or not? That's going to be very key. Like I said before, the dollar has a head and shoulders, which favors the bulls for the stock market more. The dollar may start sinking as the market starts pumping. Coinbase is looking a bit more bullish as we have a cup and handle developing on the charts, which could lead this thing to pushing towards this imbalance all the way up here towards 82.5 and potentially even 84. But we want to see it break and hold 81st to get that cup and handle formed. Now, for Google, unfortunately for Google, it's looking, we have a bearish divergence, so it could cool off towards 138. And we're at some really tough resistance, this 140 area. I'm not sure if we're going to break that immediately. It's very tough. We got rejected off here many times in September around 140. So we will see if Google could break this key resistance or not. It's going to be very key. It's going to likely cool off first, retest 138 and try to bounce. So we'll see if it can get the break or not. Like I said before, the 10-year has a bearish divergence. If this thing starts sinking, it's going to be bullish for the stock market. As of right now, this is looking like it's going to sink because of Israel, but we'll have to wait and see just to be safe. For the Amazon stock, if this thing could break 128, you're going to be watching this 130 move. 130.5 is going to be a key resistance. If we could hold 128, if we break below it, watch 127 as support, and then there's below 127, it's going to come all the way down to 125. I'm leaning a bit more bullish looking at this structure. Nice double bottom has formed on it. And it's looking like it's trying to we saw this nice accumulation here for the double bottom leading to this nice push for 132. So I think it's going to try to push up higher, but just to be safe, we want to watch what the yields cause. You always want to be safe. For Meta, it looks a bit more bullish. If you're bearish, watch it break below 318 to come down to 315. If you're bullish, you want to see it hold 320. If it manages to hold above 320, we could be watching it come all the way back up to these highs up here to like 326 eventually. So Meta looks quite nice accumulation on it, but just to be safe, let's see if 320 holds. Anyways, guys, I hope everyone is doing very, very well from this point on. I thank everyone for the very kind comments you guys left in my videos about my family. So I'm very, very appreciative, of it. So please have a great day, guys. I thank every single one of you for listening. Please take care and get ready for tomorrow. We will see what happens with the bonds market. It's going to be super, super important for the stock market and Tesla. All right. So I want to keep this one simple. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you and peace out.